When Hurricane Helene tore through western North Carolina 1 year ago, a husband was alone in the storm, away from his wife and kids. Queen City News anchor Robin Kanady describes the moments just before they lost contact.
As the water kept rising.
Oh man, we still ain't out of it yet either. Oh man, this has been terrifying, terrifying.
Zach Johnson was sending his wife pictures and text. He said, "It's going to be scary here tonight." Zach was alone in Avery County.
My sister-in-law was pregnant. My niece, we kind of refer to her as a angel baby.
Zach's wife, Casey Johnson, and their kids were away in Charleston, meeting their new baby cousin.
Then we were about to leave the hospital, and I told him, I was like, all right, we're heading back. And he said, no, don't, maybe just stay at your dad's house.
Casey and the kids stayed in Rock Hill. Zach was able to get through until he wasn't.
And he had called and he said, it's getting really bad. I think I need to get on the roof.
That was one of the last times she heard from him.
Awful. Awful.
She had to wait and keep her kids busy.
Asking if I'd talk to Dad, and I'm like, well, not yet, not yet.
Days went by, and then the call.
I just started crying, and my dad was like, my stepmom, what's happening?
I got a hold of her, and she was just bawling, crying on the other end.
But she soon found out the horror her husband had been through.
And I was scared for my life, I really was.
When it got really bad, Zach called 911.
I wouldn't expect them to save me, but just, hey, there might be a body right here,
For a while, he found a safe space inside their home.
This is where the island was, so you'd be able to see, kind of how my viewpoint was there.
But as Hurricane Helene bore down on the community of Minneapolis,
at its highest point, the water was easily up to this.
he just kept praying.
And I was sitting on the island, I was reading my Bible. I was reading scripture out loud as loud as I could read it.
But it didn't calm the waters.
We had some cows and a bull and a calf, and I see them get flushed away, and I'm just like, oh crap.
He needed to get up high, on the roof. But when he went outside,
the water, like I said, was so strong, it pinned me up against the railing of the deck.
He somehow managed to shimmy up the banister and grab onto the gutter. But it broke and tossed him into the raging river.
The rapids were so strong, I had to take a breath and go under the water.
Zach clung on to a piece of the porch and got himself back inside the house to the kitchen island, where he stayed until the water finally went down.
I opened the door, I was like, I survived! I was pumped, man.
Survived, but changed by the hurricane.
It was sweet and sad.
He had to take his family back to the devastation.
There was all kinds of debris on the bridge. Tons of trees were down. The road was completely gone. Our road, the Clyde Johnson Road, had been swallowed up.
Their house torn apart. It shifted 4 or 5 inches from the foundation, but their faith stayed put.
I was definitely being looked after that day, you know what I mean? And I'm more appreciative. I was very, very thankful to see my family again.
They saved some of the important things, photos and memories. They don't know why, but they know who brought them through the storm.
That I'm not in control, that God is over all this and his plans are greater.
In Minneapolis, Robin Kanady, Queen City News.
Well, as we approach 1 year since Hurricane Helene devastated the North Carolina mountains, a husband is now sharing his story of loss. And Queen City News anchor Robin Kanady tells us what now gives him strength to move on.
It had always been a place of comfort.
I grew up here. I grew up around Elk River.
So much so that Jamie Gwynn insisted that he and his wife Melissa name their son after it.
She finally let me win and go with River.
River, a main chapter in their love story.
I still catch myself about calling her. I almost text her every morning I get to work.
He can't shake it.
I keep having snapshots in my mind every single day.
The day the mountains took her.
I can remember her looking around the house, and I could tell she was really overwhelmed. And I can remember I put my arms around her and told her at least we still had each other.
The first landslide wiped away their garage, and then a second one.
An explosion all at once, no roaring sound, no warning, no nothing.
The boom knocked River and Jamie 50 feet down the embankment into the water.
I can remember being just, I guess, crushed inside the house, and all of a sudden, I had the thought in my head, I guess this is how I died.
Jamie was being called to get up.
I could hear River, and I started pulling pieces of the house off of River.
Then he heard another cry.
I remember looking up on the bank and seeing her, and she screamed to watch out.
Melissa was warning them. There was another landslide coming.
Kept screaming for her, and I never could see her.
Then he heard the words he'll never forget.
River turned around and looked at me and said, "Daddy, I think Mommy's gone."
Jamie felt guilty leaving her, but he had to get his 8-year-old away from the mountain.
I was so scared another one was going to come and hit me and him.
They made it to a neighbor's house and then to the hospital. Jamie barely noticed his injuries. He was focused on Melissa.
At that time, they hadn't found her, and all I kept saying was that she was still gone. We didn't know where she was at.
Now he does.
I went through this. I lost her, but not for a second. I didn't lose an ounce of faith, and I know I'll get to see her again. So
Melissa lives on.
I used to leave her love notes.
This blanket with messages and pictures was an early anniversary gift found in the debris after the hurricane. The river may have taken her, but River is her greatest gift.
He's meant for something. He has definitely been saved for something.
To live out their love story that will never end.
People may think it's crazy, but I probably consider myself one of the luckiest people ever.
In Avery County, Robin Kanady, Queen City News.
A Concord mother who lost her son to the war in Iraq almost 15 years ago is turning her grief into a purpose. Queen City News anchor Robin Kanady shows us how she is sharing her soldier's story and another one from her past.
That sound can only mean one thing. It's buried in years of pain for Susan McClamrock.
I didn't realize I had carried it all that time. You know, I just knew I heard it, and I was like, I've heard this before.
The song played at her son's funeral.
I think I'm supposed to do this, Mom. He goes, I have prayed about it, Shana and I have prayed about it, and this is where God's leading me.
Private First Class James McClamrock.
There's the Sandy Beach James out at the beach, and then there's the Army James.
Newly married, he enlisted in 2009 and chose to fight for his country.
If you could have just known him, he was such a goober. He was so much fun. He was the guy you want to be like. He was.
Susan has her book of James.
When you read him, you can just hear everything that he's thinking about.
He's an open book.
I fear for my life, and the worst thing is to leave Shana a widow.
And a painful prelude.
He says, anyways, enjoy what you all have, because what I get ain't nothing. I'll never take things for granted. See y'all soon, 39 more days. Love, James.
James was taken from them, killed in action at just 22 years old.
I feel strongly that once we stop speaking their names, they truly die.
After James's funeral, Susan finally remembered where she heard that familiar sound almost 40 years before. Her dad, Billy Dean Yules, was only 15 years old when he went into the Navy.
He was there at D-Day on the beach.
And after World War II,
he ended up being a prisoner of war in Korea.
2 wars. Susan says her dad came home, spent years in the hospital, and was never the same.
My father died when I was 10 because of the effects of war, and now I'm burying a child because of the effects of war.
The bugle call isn't comforting to Susan, but the orchestrator is.
Keep praying about everything. Lord knows I am.
She knows her son is in God's hands.
I'm like, Lord, I know he's sitting right at your feet. I know you see him. Would you just smile at him for me like a mom?
In Concord, Robin Kanady, Queen City News.